What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So for this video, we're going to be talking about KAMLANAut because he is going to be getting his rework as well as the debut of his LD weapon coming out with his lost chapters on Global Opera Omnia. But first, if you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so that way you're not missing out on future uploads. And if you guys enjoy what you're seeing on this channel, hit that like button and share this video as it does help me out. Also, I want to give a big thanks and shout outs to Eon is the Winged, a fellow DFFOO content creator and streamer. She helped me out with some of this information on KAMLANAUT's upgrades because she actually plays a lot of KAMLANAut on her Dissidia Opera Omnia game, so she helped me out with this one because the character is a little bit of a complex character if you guys remember when he first came out. Now, as always, I want to give a big thanks to Dissidia DB and Rem because all of the information that comes from this video is going to be coming from his website. Be sure to check that out. Also, big thanks to Macnull and the Dissidia info. Big thanks to the Opera Omnia tracker, giving us a way to track our progress within the game. Also to the FFOO tip, allowing us a chance to see when these upcoming events are finally going to go live into the game, as well as to the Tonberry Troop for the amount of time and effort they take to create those lovely infographics, as well as their awesome website. And also thanks to the Final Fantasy TCC podcast, giving us a weekly podcast for Opera Omnia. And also a big thanks and shout outs to the rest of the DFFOO content creators and streamers, as well as those of you that make guides such as like the spreadsheets and all that good stuff on Reddit, because you guys just help make the experience for this game so much better. One more thing that I do want to point out before we actually talk about KAMLANAUT's rework in LD is that the format for this video is going to be a bit more casual, straight up with just gameplay and narration, because KAMLANAut is going to be an older character that some of you might already be familiar with. So we're going to be going with straight up gameplay for that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about KAMLANAUT's rework as well as the debut of his LD weapon. Alright guys, so here we are with my video for KAMLANAut. I'm going to be talking about his rework and as well as his LD weapon. I will also cover his call ability because that is a thing now on Global Opera Omnia and what that does, as well as his high guard armor if you spend the Lufenia tokens on him, and also what artifacts you're supposed to be, essentially building up for him if you do build up this character. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with KAMLANAut, when he first came out, he was a hybrid melee type unit that had the ice element, which was attached to his skill 1, and he had a few buffs, and what these buffs did is they would one of them would increase his attack and max brave coming from his skill 1, and then he had another one that was stackable up to 5 stacks. And as you can see right there, we actually already have 2 stacks of it because he's actually getting this from his EX Plus if you do realize it. And what the stackable buff does is it would lower the enemy's attack and magic attack, and then once you get it up to 5 stacks, and you could do that by using his skill 2, he would transform it into another buff called Desire of Provenance, which also lowers the enemy's attack and magic attack. Now, the reason why you wanted Desire of Provenance active after you built the 5 stacks is it transforms his skill 1 from Frostblade into Glacification, which Glacification was the more powerful version of his skill 1, which also had a paralysis attached to it. And the paralysis at the base version of the skill was at 60%, and then the plus version of the skill was at 100%. So on paper, he looked like he would, be pretty good. He had, access to paralysis, stacking buff, a really good buff that, has an aura that, hampers enemies down with their attack and magic attack. And not to mention, he also has the buff from his EX that allows him to increase the party's max brave and attack. So he seemed good on paper, but there was one critical flaw about this character. Anytime he would be broken, that Desire of Providence buff is going to be dispelled, and he has to build the stacks all over again. And not to mention, Desire of Providence only lasts for 4 turns. It did not last very long. So if you think about it, if he's not being targeted, then he's safe, and you can pretty much go ham with skill 1 trying to get those paralysis effects off and things like that. But that also affected his longevity because you wanted him to be able to apply the stun or be able to hopefully apply the stun, but you were worrying about him getting broken and at the same time worrying about him losing, too many skill usage and then having to start all over again. Now, One way to alleviate this was his C65, because his C65 did allow him to automatically apply Desire of Providence for 4 turns, but still, after you use that twice, because you're only able to use it twice, he doesn't have access to it anymore. And not only that, if he gets broken, he still has to start over all again, building the stacks, wasting turns, and, you know, pretty much he had a very risky style of a gameplay, and there was a lot of managing with him. He was a bit complex, and the reward with the character just wasn't there when you were taking him into combat. Like, you really did have to build around him. You definitely wanted to use a character that can provoke, so then that way he's not drawing, he's not, you know, being targeted at all, you know, unless of course there's an AoE attack incoming. So he was a little bit kind of tricky to play. With his rework, first of all, he's going to be getting, you know, standard rework upgrades to his skill 1 and skill 2. He's going to be getting more brave hits, more brave overflow. He's going to be getting more brave damage potency, extension to his buffs that he grants to himself. And then the biggest upgrade that he gets comes directly from his LD weapon. And at full limit break, you get 4 uses out of this LD skill called Light Blade. And he also permanently increases his attack by 90%, which is huge. And then the biggest thing that he gets is right after he uses this, right? And this deals an 8-hit melee brave plus HP attack. It has a good overflow of 180%, deals 50% HP splash damage, and he immediately grants himself that Desire of Providence buff for 6 turns, which is the buff that you want him to have. And not only that, but after we use it, he's also going to get a brand new special effect, or a special icon above his head called Peerless Hero. And this lasts for 8 turns if you fully max limit break his LD weapon. And what Peerless Hero does is anytime Kam'lanaut uses a skill or any type of command where he does an HP attack, he's going to automatically refund himself Brave by 30% of the HP damage he deals. And this is very, very crucial now to his kit, because remember, you don't want this guy to get broken. If he gets broken, you got to start all over again with a stack. So that Brave refund is a blessing to him. And then afterwards, he's also going to be increasing his attack further by 20% with that special effect. And then he also helps the party out. So the party benefits from this special effect, raising their stolen max, you know, Brave overflow limit by 20%. And also at the start of their turn, they have a Brave regen based on 10% of their max Brave. So definitely the LD weapon really, really made this character a lot more effective. And it allows you to essentially play him how he's supposed to be played without all of the handicaps that he had before he got these upgrades. So we're going to go ahead and use EX here with Shantoto. And there's one other thing, there's a few other things actually that I wanted to cover before we talk a little bit about the banner. So we noticed that A is targeting Kam'lanaut, and this is going to be pretty critical that he's being targeted, because it plays into his debuff counter. So he has a debuff counter kind of similar to Gabranth. You know, Gabranth gets attacked, he applies debuffs. Kam'lanaut also has that. It's called Addle. His debuff is called Addle. Now, prior to this rework, Addle only lasts for 1 turn, and what it does is it lowers the enemy's attack and magic attack. But 1 turn, it's not that long. But with his rework, when he applies that, after taking damage himself, it lasts for 3 turns now. So that's pretty good. At least that counter debuff lasts for 3 turns. So we're going to go ahead and use his free skill usage here. Now, generally, you're always almost want to go for his skill 1 with the free skill usage, because with the base version of Glacification, you have a 60% chance to, you know, paralyze your enemies. And then if you have access to the Plus variant, you have a guaranteed chance to paralyze your enemy. So let's go ahead and use it on B, because A is targeting him, and I want you guys to see the Addle debuff go off. Okay, we did not get the paralysis, but that's okay. But we do see that he did get that nice Brave refund, which is awesome. That Brave refund really does help him out. All right, let's hope we don't get broken. Okay, we did not get broken, but as we can see right there, we had Addle kick in, so now that target A has 3 turns of having its attack and magic attack lowered. So that's also something really cool that he got with this rework. Now, there's one other thing that I do want to point out that he gets, and let's see if we could set it up here. I'm going to try to get this set up. Let's lower these enemies Brave here, so we're not in any kind of danger. Okay, and then afterwards with Shantoto, let's just go with her HP attack plus plus. Okay, so he's gonna get another Addle in, or he's gonna refresh it. Okay, Addle comes back. Okay. All right, so there's a reason why I allow that to happen. So if you have Kam'lanaut's LD weapon fully max limit broken, he's going to get access to his Brave Attack +++. Now, this is very important for his kit, and here's the reason why. So if you break a target with this 4-hit Ice Melee Brave Attack, it's not going to take up a turn count. Okay, it's not going to have any action delay, so he's going to get an immediate turn after. And what this does is if you break a target with it, his skill 1 is going to automatically change into the plus variant. So the plus variant is the one that you definitely want because it gives you that guaranteed paralysis. So we're going to see that in action right now. Let's go ahead and use it on target B. Okay, so he gets an immediate turn, did not add to the turn count, and now he has access to his Glacification Plus, and we're going to get that guaranteed paralysis off. So as you can see, that LD weapon really gave him a massive, massive upgrade, which he desperately needed because he had a lot of issues when it came to playing him effectively, just because you didn't want him to get broken. But now he has ways around that. He has free skill usage. He has Brave Refund. He has more, effects that he could provide to your party. His debuff lasts longer, and now he has better ways to be able to paralyze, or more consistent ways to be able to paralyze your enemy. So overall, the upgrades that Kam'lanaut got was very, very good. If you guys decide to pull and build this character, he's great. He's great for controlling enemies. He's great to have some pretty nice auras for your party that they could benefit from. And he also has that Brave Refund, which he desperately needed to be able to be played effectively. Now, if you are going to be building Kam'lanaut, artifact-wise, you definitely want to go for Attack plus 108, 3 copies of that, and then 3 copies of the C50 passive boost that you can get from his artifacts, because that also gives him attack. And when we're in the Lufenia era, guys, you want as much attack as possible, because there's going to be times where you're like, wow, I'm barely doing any brave damage. So stacking as much attack on characters that, can deal some sort of DPS, is definitely the way that you want to go. Now, as far as his call ability goes, when you use Kam'lanaut's call ability, he's going to be using his skill 2. So what he's going to do, I can't demonstrate it here right now because he's in my party, but when you use his call ability, he'll use his skill 2. It's also gonna give that Brave Refund to the character that called him by 30% of the HP damage dealt. And then the special effect that you get out of his call is for 6 turns, all enemies are gonna have an attack down and a magic attack down. So that's what his call ability does. And then another thing that I do want to cover is his Lufenia armor, or his High Guard armor, if you guys decide to buy it from the shop with the Lufenia tokens. What this does is, as long as he has it equipped, he lowers all enemies' initial, max brave, and attack by 10%, and also their defense by 20%. And then he also has that standard effect on his High Guard armor, where his held bravery and HP damage dealt can exceed the limit of 99,999, this time by 15%, so up to 114,998. Now that debuff aura is really, really cool, and if you are going to be pulling for Kam'lanaut and his entire kit, I do recommend that particular armor, because it's a debuff aura. He's lowering enemy stats by just simply having it on, which is really, really cool. So that's going to be my, pretty much my overview of Kam'lanaut's rework, his LD, and everything that he brings to the table. Now, to talk about the banner is going to feature Kam'lanaut's gear, his all the way up to his EX and his LD. It's also going to have 2 characters that we're all pretty familiar with now, which is Shantoto and Rydia. They're going to have all their gear there too. Shantoto will have her gear all the way up until EX. Now, if you had pulled for Shantoto's burst or LD weapon prior, chances are you probably already have her gear. Rydia is a pretty solid character. While she's only an EX plus, if you're looking for a character that can add an enchant to an element for your entire party, as well as imperil that element, she's actually a pretty solid option. She's a very offensive type of enchant imperil, because she doesn't battery your party or anything like that. Like, for example, Garnet will actually battery your party with what she does, and she has that role too. But Rydia herself is more of like an offensive-oriented version of that. So if you pick her up, she's still pretty solid. Not the greatest, but she's still pretty good at what she does. And then afterwards, Lightning's burst weapon will be featured on the banner as well. Now, if you're going to be gunning for Lightning's burst and you're like, I want to throw in gems, I got her LD already from the 2 previous banners, I don't think you should do it on this banner. I would personally wait for the Reno banner if you're going to be spending gems, because Reno is actually a really, really strong character with some really powerful debuffs and an actual debuff that complements Lightning's Kam'lanaut's kit. But if you are pulling for Kam'lanaut, maybe go with tickets if you have the resources available, especially if you're looking for a hybrid, support character that can deal damage and it also provide powerful effects to your party, provide you ways to be able to constantly or hopefully constantly apply stun, and also have a lot of longevity. So that's what Kam'lanaut's value is going to be. So if you're looking for somebody like that, then maybe this is the character for you. But if your resources are low, you're looking forward to more characters, and you already have a character, for example, like a character that, if you're looking for a character that can stun, right? Raijin is a fantastic option. He's a budget Lufenia-friendly character. He Thunder Enchants, Thunder Imperils. He also has that stun, which is an AoE stun, 100%. All you got to do is build up, 3 stacks, but he does have that. Then, maybe it's safe to skip on Kam'lanaut. But don't sleep on this guy. If you have the resources, if you want to try him out, if you want to build him up, he definitely is significantly better to when he was before. Alright guys, well, this is going to conclude my video for Kam'lanaut. Hopefully, I gave you guys all the information that you need on this character. Now, if you guys are wondering if I'm going to be talking about the actual Lufenia fight, I will have that Conquering Lufenia video out shortly after I release this video, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys again for watching. Thank you for all the support. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.